VIP muscle to protect the juvenile. Two deaths, but zero remorse. Agarwal family 100% exposed, and that's our top focus on 5 Live.
Every twist and turn, and we will not be letting go of this story. I'm Shiv. Thanks so much for being with me. This is 5 Live, and here are the headlines. Pune Police Commissioner confirms India Today's big news break. The miner's family attempted to frame the family driver, but the bid was foiled during the investigation, says the police. The court sends the father to 4-day judicial custody. Clock ticks for rape-accused JDS MP Prajwal Revanna. Sources say the External Affairs Ministry has issued a show-cause notice to Prajwal, who is in Germany and has been for the last 29 days. His passport could be cancelled if he doesn't return in the next 10 days. Delhi Chief Minister speaks exclusively to India Today on the Swati Maliwal assault issue, reiterates his free and fair probe call. Chief Minister's aide Bibav sent to 4-day judicial remand. Prime Minister Modi backs Kangana Ranaut, says every Congress insult to Kangana is an insult to every Himachali daughter. Kangana's mother slams the Congress's candidate. Vikramaditya Singh says he's defaming her daughter. Ghastly, gory, gruesome details in the murder of a Bangladeshi MP in Kolkata. His body skinned, chopped, minced and scattered. The hunt on for his body parts, honey trap angle, emerges. In a world where personal accountability is just an outdated concept and luxury Porsche sports cars are meant to drive themselves, we must tip our hats off to Pune's Agarwal family for reminding us of the time-tested mechanism of blame shifting. Their innovative approach to handling a tragic car accident has set a new standard, viewer, in turning tragic misfortune into opportunity. Last Sunday, the Agarwal's underage son was in a Porsche that hurtled at 160 kilometers per hour into a motorcycle, killing 2 young people and destroying 2 families. Tragic? Yes. Avoidable? Absolutely. But what's truly fascinating in how this seemingly dire situation is transformed into a masterclass of modern-day problem solving. Enter their driver, Gangaram. A long-time family employee, Gangaram has always been the quiet, unassuming type, the kind of guy who does his job without a fuss. That's him in those pictures we just showed you. Never asking for much. Little did Gangaram know his loyalty and humility were about to pay off, just not in the way that Gangaramji might have hoped. The blood of Ashwini and Anish hadn't even dried on the road. The mangled remains of their motorcycle hadn't even been pushed to the side when the Agarwals apparently sprang into action, according to the police. No, not to render aid or take stock of the situation, but to apparently concoct a narrative that would safeguard their underage teenage son, who they had permitted to proceed with a 2 crore rupee sports car on a pub crawling expedition with his friends. Which is why within barely hours of this accident, from the family to the lawyer to the friends, everyone quickly and unitedly pointed a finger away from the underage teenager, and some of them were pointing directly at their family driver, Gangaram. Remember that the crowds had pulled out the driver of the car, not Gangaram, namely the family's underage son, all captured in those pictures. But then who cares about the facts that have now been confirmed by the Pune police? Gangaram aap hi to chala rahe the, one family member may have just suggested. A statement so smoothly delivered possibly may have sounded like a friendly reminder to the poor family driver. I'm of course only conjecturing here since nobody has heard any of these real conversations. Another family member may have well chimed in saying, Gangaram ji, आपको शायद याद नहीं होगा, आपको कभी-कभी चक्कर भी आते हैं, शायद इसलिए गाड़ी चलाते वक्त एक्सीडेंट हो गया होगा. Meanwhile, the underage son himself was apparently naming poor Gangaram right off the bat. So it was nice and neat. Blood still fresh, bodies yet to be handed over to the families and cremated, but it was Gangaram that the family was hoping would be convinced to take the blame and take the fall. In the images that you see of Gangaram being produced by the police, taken for questioning, in these images that you see, it's an obedient Gangaram being brought for questioning. Even in these devastating circumstances, after apparently being persuaded, allegedly being persuaded to take the blame for this terrible accident, he does a namaste for the cameras. Always the good, obedient family employee, always doing what he's told, ever questioning orders. That's what it looks like. Some might say these alleged actions were deceitful, immoral, or even downright villainous. But let's consider the positives, if there are any, for a moment, viewer. The Agarwals seem to have demonstrated a level of family unity and priority and cooperation rarely seen in these times of flying tempers and chaotic relationships. In a society increasingly fragmented by individualism, the Agarwals, to some, may have actually showed us that family really does come first to VIPs, no matter what the cost. Moreover, this incident provides a valuable reminder of that timeless lesson in crisis management. When faced with a problem, don't just react. Pivot for God's sake. Find a convenient scapegoat, preferably one like Gangaram who cannot afford a good lawyer, and ensure the narrative aligns with your interests. It's a strategy that has served corporations and politicians well for centuries. Why should the average wealthy family be any different? As a final thought, for all the abuse and vitriol, sometimes justified, that journalists get for so-called media trials, let's wonder if this time-tested method of blame shifting onto someone like a Gangaram would be allowed to play out if the media wasn't watching. That's just something to think about. Thanks for listening. A 300-word essay as a bail condition for the 17-year-old Porsche driver who took 2 young lives with his reckless driving has disgusted the entire country and brought national attention to the Pune incident.
India Today continues its coverage of the deadly Porsche crash. Public outrage is mounting and pressure growing on the police. The accused juvenile in conflict with law's bail has been revoked and he's been remanded to a juvenile justice center till the 5th of June. The family is mounting their defense. Their driver initially claimed he was driving when that fatal accident took place. But the evidence gathered by the police disproved this claim.
हमारे जांच में ये स्पष्ट आया है कि ये जो जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड है यही गाड़ी चला रहा था और इसके लिए क्रोनोलॉजिकली जो एविडेंस जरूरी थे वो एविडेंस इकट्ठा किए गए हैं. उदाहरण के तौर पे जब वो घर से निकला था उसके घर के सिक्योरिटी गार्ड के पास की जो रजिस्टर है उसमें पहली एंट्री है कि ये लड़का ये आरोपी ये गाड़ी लेके निकला है.
Forensic investigations have turned the case against the family. The police suspect the driver was paid to take the blame.
आरोपी जुवेनाइल हे गाडी चालवत नव्हता कनी दुसरा कोणी गाडी चालवत होता अशा प्रकारची काही गोष्टी करण्याची प्रयत्न झाली होती ज्यावर जे पोलिसांनी निष्फल म्हणजे होऊ दिला नव्हता. परंतु ती जी अटेम्प्ट पण झाली होती ती अटेम्प्ट टू डिस्ट्रॉय एव्हिडन्स चे कलम पण चे दृष्टिकोनातून पण आम्ही तपास करत आहोत.
Action is also pending against a senior police inspector and his deputy from Yerwada who failed to inform the control room after arriving at the scene. The accused scene's father arrested in Sambhaji Nagar and now in police custody, claims he was unaware of his son's drinking. The father insists he's being falsely implicated. But the police have evidence that the teen spent 69,000 rupees on alcohol in bars before the accident. A case has also been filed against the bars for serving liquor to a minor. The police are building a strong case against the Agarwals and have asked the Juvenile Justice Board to try the accused as an adult.
हमने जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के पास एप्लीकेशन रिवीजन के लिए फाइल किया था, जिसमें इस जुवेनाइल को एडल्ट की तरह ट्राई किया जाए और इसको रिमांड होम में भेजा जाए. आज ऑपरेटिव ऑर्डर अभी हमको कम्युनिकेट किया गया है, उसको 14 दिन के लिए 5 जून तक रिमांड होम में भेजा गया है. एडल्ट के बारे में जो एप्लीकेशन हमारी थी उसके बारे में भी ऑर्डर नहीं आया है. डिटेल्स जो भी होगा हम आपको बताएंगे.
But the case reveals failures at multiple levels, from the pub to law enforcement, leading to 2 lives lost due to reckless drunk driving, allegedly by an underage unlicensed teen. Bureau Report, India Today.
Today's Divyesh Singh has been tracking the story very closely. Divyesh, age-old tactic apparently used by the family to shift blame onto the driver and let him take the fall for this. We don't know the details. This is what the police is alleging. But I am guessing that if we had not been on this story in the way that we have been and your team has been on the ground, this ploy might have actually worked, Divyesh.
Well, the relentless coverage by India Today TV on this incident, on this accident which claimed 2 precious lives. We've seen that the family used every possible trick to shift the blame, or even convinced the driver, tried to bribe him to take the blame that he was driving the vehicle when the crash happened. Initial statement recorded by the driver also says that he was driving the vehicle. The statement of the juvenile accused, his friends who were there in the car, Vishal Agarwal. There are 4 to 5 such statements which were initially recorded by police, where it was said that the driver Gangaram was driving the vehicle. But it was the relentless coverage by India Today TV. We brought things to light.
Absolutely.
We brought all possible theories, what was happening, what had happened, eyewitnesses, and police gathered those evidences. Now, police have built a case of 304A, culpable homicide not amounting to murder, and there are several other sections. Vishal Agarwal, the father, has been booked in another case, another FIR. Today, he was sent to judicial custody.
All right. Thanks, Divyesh, and well done by your team. We will continue to be on this story throughout over the weekend and in the following week as well, until justice for Ashwini and Anish is served. And speaking of quests for justice, 29 days absconding in Germany, Karnataka's JDS MP Prajwal Revanna is still on the run, but the heat is rising against him. He could lose his diplomatic passport very soon. A show-cause notice for cancellation of his diplomatic passport has been issued to him by the External Affairs Ministry, a day after Karnataka Chief Minister sent his second letter to the central government. Take a look.
The clock is ticking for rape-accused JDS MP Prajwal Revanna. Nearly a month after his sex tapes became public, Karnataka's predator political leader is still holidaying overseas. But he's soon going to face the law in India. Sources tell India Today Prajwal Revanna's passport is set to be cancelled if he doesn't return to India in the next 10 days. And if this happens, he will have to go to the nearest embassy or consulate and apply for a one-way passport to India. A show-cause notice will also be issued in a day or two.
MEA got this request from Karnataka only on the 21st of May. People were saying a lot of things to the press. I don't know about how other governments, state governments or otherwise function. We, at least in MEA, function as per the law.
Prajwal Revanna's grandfather, JDS Supremo and former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda on Thursday issued a stern warning directing Prajwal to return to India and surrender to the police. His warning was, however, mocked by the Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah.
ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಇವ್ರು ನನ್ನ ಮಗ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಆಗ ಸಂಪರ್ಕ ಅಲ್ವ ಅದು ಪ್ರಚಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ರೇವಣ್ಣನ ಮಗನಲ್ಲ ಇವ ನನ್ನ ಮಗ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ಸಂಪರ್ಕನೋ.
When India Today confronted H.D. Revanna on his fugitive son, he chose to remain silent. Accused of rape, Prajwal Revanna fled India right after the second phase of Lok Sabha elections. So far, 3 women have filed police complaints against the Member of Parliament. A special investigation team is probing the charges. With Sagai Raj in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining us live from Bengaluru this evening is Sharath Bachegowda. He's an MLA from the Congress party. Sharathji, welcome. Thank you very much for your time and taking our questions here on India Today. The External Affairs Ministry, Mr. Bachegowda, has said that they've issued a show cause notice now for cancellation of Prajwal Revanna's passport. How would you react to that? Would you say that action is finally being taken 29 days after he left the country?
First of all, I think what I would like to say is that this is a victory for our Chief Minister, and it shows the kind of proactive approach which we are taking towards this investigation. It also shows the lax attitude which BJP has taken towards trying to bring an accused back into the country. It's taken 28 days, and till the Chief Minister of Karnataka has intervened and written a letter to the Ministry of External Affairs to bring the accused back into the country. So I think the big question over here is, who is being protected? At whose behest is that person being protected, and why has it taken 29 whole days for this procedure and for this kind of process to be initiated?
So the first letter that was written by Mr. Siddaramaiah, and we did a show yesterday, Mr. Bachegowda, where we spoke specifically about the long rope that you are referring to, raising the questions about why this Member of Parliament has been allowed to be, elusive of the law for so long, 29 days and counting. Letter number 1 was written on March the 1st. It was written to the Prime Minister. Letter number 2 was written on the 21st. It was written to the External Affairs Ministry. Dr. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Ministry, says, we follow the law. We got the letter only on the 21st, and therefore we have responded after that. How would you react to that? Even though we do know that 2 letters have been written.
I would say it's a very convenient answer for BJP to give. Whenever they want, they play fast and easy with the rules. And when it suits them, when it's one of their coalition partners, you see them being stickler for rules, abiding by the rules, delaying procedures. Whereas if it's someone in the opposition who's being targeted, right? You see people being raided at night, midnights, without warrants. So there are 2 sets of rules. One set of rules which applies to the opposition party, and another set of rules which applies to your coalition partners and to the people who you're friendly with and people who you've got warm with. You can see that even after all of these incidents have happened, in Karnataka, the MLC election which is taking place right now is also happening in a BJP-JDS coalition. You see that there's a tainted MP who's got these kind of grave accusations against him. And even the family has disowned the behavior which he's shown and haven't condoned it. And as yet, BJP continue to cohort with them, be with these people and show a warm alliance. So really BJP has got to do a lot of introspection and ask itself, what all is it willing to do for the sake of power? Is this the level which you're going to stoop down to? Are you going to protect people who are accused of such grave crimes? Almost 400 women are involved in this incident. There's got to be some kind of responsibility, and there's got to be some kind of action taken in a very quick and urgent manner.
Mr. Bachegowda, I agree with you that the onus is on the central government, and that's the reason why we raised that question on our show as well yesterday. My next question to you would be, why is there so much mystery over where Prajwal Revanna is? We got an initial comment after he'd left saying it was a pre-planned private visit. Is there any intelligence at the state level about what's happening with him? Is he being actively protected there? There is a lack of clarity even on which particular city he is.
I'm sure that the state police department and the SIT, which has been constituted to look into this matter, has a lot of information about a lot of matters which we cannot publicly or openly discuss about. I'm sure there's a lot of confidential information available as to the whereabouts of Prajwal Revanna and what's happening and how these things have happened, which cannot be publicly disclosed. But all said and done, when it involves bringing an Indian national citizen who is abroad in a different country, as you know, there are rules which relate to extradition, there are rules which relate to even countries where we have extradition possible, where the central government has to take a proactive role in all of these elements, right? The state government can only constitute an SIT and see where his whereabouts are, how these things unfolded, who are the people who are accused, who are the people who have conspired, who are the people who have been, maybe it has been raped, maybe it has been a misbehavior. So this is what the state intelligence department can do in its team. But the rest of the work is with the central government and how seriously it takes this issue. Because we've seen that the Prime Minister always talks about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao and all these fancy things. But when it comes down to the ground reality of what happens, we've always seen that the central government and the BJP party has stood on the side of the aggressor almost every single time. And all these fancy words about protecting women are something which is just for talk and for public consumption. When it comes down to action, the central government and BJP has always stood with the aggressor and has not stood on behalf of women. And we are seeing this play out one more time. This is a standard procedure of the BJP party.
While agreeing that the onus is 100% on the central government at this time, my final question to you, Mr. Bachegada, would be, how would you answer those who say that the Prajwal Revanna issue is not a new issue? It's been known for many years, possibly to a time from before he was an MP. You've been in the BJP in the past as well, and that this is not strictly a BJP versus Congress issue, that people have known about this in the past, and there appears to be a sense of liability on successive administrations allowing this guy to get away with what he was doing. How would you respond to that?
I would not go so far as to say that this was publicly known, this is public knowledge since many years. What I would say is, what do we have on record and what do we go by? In the month of December, a letter was written by one of the BJP functionaries to the national head accusing this particular member of parliament of whatever heinous acts have been purportedly been done by him. Since he's an accused, we can only say purportedly been done by him. So this is the only record which we have. So when there are things on record and the party fails to act, I think we've got to take responsibility. They've got to take responsibility for the actions. Hushed murmurs, whispers possibly have been heard, but there has been nothing on record. And when we found something on record was in the month of December. One clarity I think which BJP has got to give to everybody was, what was the reason for them to say Prajwal Revanna wasn't an ideal candidate? And what was it which changed their mind eventually? Right? If there's some logic behind you saying Prajwal Revanna was not the ideal candidate for Hassan, possibly you had information about these kind of incidents which have happened. Possibly you have information about these kinds of accusations which have been made. Possibly one or two people have come up to you. But you, for the sake of power, for the thirst of power, have decided to make your bed with the devil. And now it seems, for all intents and purposes, that you're protecting this particular individual who's got these grave accusations against him.
And we will be following this story until justice is served to all of those victims, and we'll be following the case very, very closely. Sharad Bachegowda, thanks very much. Good to have you on the show. Thanks for being with me. And that's a wrap on 5 Live. Coming up next is our special IPL show with Nikhil Nas.
India cools down in 10 seconds with Hexa Inverter, heavy-duty air conditioner. Higher, more creation, more possibilities.
What you doing? Yeah, you're getting me down. Got me looking at you, scared in the crowd.
Why do you wanna move like that? Why you want
Coming for you. Let me show you why.
Introducing Motorola Edge 50 Fusion. Own the